Hello and welcome to the Rask Network. What you're about to hear and see is limited to general financial information only. Please be sure to speak to your financial planner or refer to our financial services guide available at rask.com.au/FSG before acting on the information.
Hello and welcome back to the Australian Finance Podcast. I'm your host, Kate Campbell, and today we're talking about a topic where knowledge is most certainly power: financial scams. Now, we've all watched documentaries and shows on Netflix like the Tinder Swindler, Inventing Anna, The Wolf of Wall Street, and of course the infamous FYRE festival that never happened. But did you know that in 2020 so far alone, ScamWatch stats show that 45,000 Australians have reported scams this year, totaling financial losses of over $55 million. The leading cause? Investment scams. Today, I'm chatting with financial educator and investment scam expert Wadzi Nenzou about how we can protect ourselves and our loved ones from losing money to an investment scam. Wadzi, welcome onto the show today.
Hey, Kate, it's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, what got you so passionate about investment scams? Because it's quite a niche area of interest and expertise.
Yeah, listen, I think the biggest kind of shock was in 2022, because at that point I was just doing financial education, teaching Australian ladies about the share market. And then the statistics came out. And in that year, Australians lost $3 billion in all scams. And this was reported from ScamWatch and also other agencies as well. And also out of that $3 billion, half, 1.5 billion came from investment scams alone. And I remember thinking behind those numbers are flesh and blood human beings who are absolutely devastated financially, but also emotionally. And I just decided to look more into it and try to minimize that suffering that a lot of people go through. And when I looked into it, I realized just how devastating it is. People are absolutely obliterated in every way. And, some people commit suicide and families are destroyed. So that's my big why of why I'm interested in this subject.
It's such a wide-reaching topic as well, because even if we haven't been personally impacted by scams, it's likely that one of our family members has, whether they've told us about it or not. I've got a family member who was scammed, not an investment scam, but more of one of the PayPal marketplace style scams. And that really impacted them a lot, shook their confidence in dealing with people in the world and navigating online systems. And it took them a little while to build that confidence back again to make any further sales via marketplace or Gumtree. So it's definitely something that impacts us. Did you have a personal story or connection that got you involved in this topic as well?
Yes, definitely. So as I said, when I kind of started looking more into it, I'd been teaching ladies about, investing on the share market and just investments in general. And I'd done, it was during COVID. So I'd done a lot of Zoom sessions, and some of these ladies, I knew them very well by then. And so, I started hearing stories from some of them and from some other women that I know who had personally, lost $30,000, $40,000. And this was a lot of money for them. Some people, it's like 30,000 is nothing, but this was life savings. This was money for their children, for their future. And they were absolutely gutted and devastated. And I remember feeling very strongly that I wanted to do something to help more people not go through something like that.
So how many Australians are getting impacted by scams every day? We've talked about a few of the statistics, but what are some of the major reasons that people are getting scammed in Australia?
Listen, when it comes to scams, it depends obviously with the scam, but when it comes to investment scams specifically, I think one of the reasons that they've gotten so huge in Australia and actually worldwide, so this is not just an Australia problem, it's a global problem, is that think about what's been going on, right? For example, COVID happened. And then after that, there's been inflation and cost of living crisis. So scammers are very good at taking advantage of whatever is going on. So a lot of people in Australia are struggling to survive. They're looking for options. They're looking for other ways to make money. And sometimes because they're so desperate, they're looking at options that they probably maybe before would never have looked at. but because they're trying to find multiple streams of income to help them pay their bills and everything, then they're jumping onto whatever kind of offer they might get and looking into it, something that they wouldn't have done before. So there's been kind of that jumping into trying to find a way out of financial kind of strife and difficulty. But also what's also been happening is technological advances, right? So AI. So things like AI have become a big part of, the world, Australia, the world. And unfortunately, scammers have taken advantage of that. And they've started, for example, last year, I don't know if you heard this, but there was a deep fake video of Elon Musk actually, promoting a quantum AI investment scheme or something like that. And some people actually lost a lot of money, millions of dollars from that fake video. So things like that as well, the sophistication, that the kind of the upping up of the sophistication is making it harder for people, even experts, to know that it's a scam. So more people are losing money from that as well.
We don't really want scams to become more sophisticated if we're already losing so many billions of dollars per year.
We don't. And that is actually what's really concerning for so many of us scam fighters, is that kind of trying to keep on top of the technology, because scammers very much are taking advantage of it.
I'd like to come back to the topic of AI and investment scams a little later, but to kick us off on the scam topic, how is that different to an investment fraud, just so we get our terminology clear?
Sure. Yeah. So listen, this is something that even I used to be like everyone else. I would interchange scams and fraud. And a lot of people do, including a lot of, organizations and governments and so forth. But if you want to be technical, fraud, think of it as it happens without your consent. You don't know it's happening. It's kind of happening in the background. Like, let's say somebody finds your details and then they go and steal your money. You didn't give them your details. They got them themselves, right? They got like from a data breach, or they were able to access your computer in some form. So fraud is something where you're not really involved in making it happen. And then scams is where, unfortunately, the scammer manipulates you to actually give the information up, whether it's your personal details or your financial information, or manipulates you to actually send them money. So you're involved in the scam side of things.
Okay. So what are the common types of investment scams? Maybe that's a good place to start here.
Yeah. There's so many types of investment scams, little ones, but I'll just talk about some, I guess, popular ones that are affecting people quite a lot. There's crypto scams, which are probably the biggest culprits.
They're probably getting the most airtime over the last few years.
Exactly. We'll obviously go more into that. But yeah, crypto scams are very much major because of the hype around crypto. Exactly like I said earlier, scammers are good at taking advantage of whatever is going on. So crypto became so big and was the buzzword, and they knew that people would jump on that. So there's been a lot of money lost from, scammers who promote fake crypto schemes, and people fall for it. And also, I guess the other thing behind crypto scams is that a lot of people are interested in crypto but have no idea how it actually works. So that they take advantage of that. Another popular scheme, or I guess scam in the investment world, is the good old Ponzi scams. So these ones have been around for a long time. I think, most people have heard of them, where, the scammer will get you to invest money, and then that money will be used to pay any earlier investors. So it's not like there's actually a product. They're just pretending that there is a product, but using whoever they're able to, to get in to pay any earlier investors. Those earlier investors get excited. They think, I'm actually getting something out of this. And then they tend to actually invest more into the scheme. And then they also tend to then use word of mouth to tell their loved ones that they're, having this amazing investing opportunity. And that's how those Ponzi schemes usually work, and just reel in more people. And they usually end up just disintegrating, because there'll be a time when that tap will run dry and the scammer will just run off with whatever money they have at that point. Another one is like share investing, the pump and dump scam, where scammers will hype up a specific share, a specific company, so that they can increase the price. And then, investors are getting into it, pumping it up, buying it. And then the minute it reaches a certain high amount, the scammer will sell whatever shares they have with that company, dump the shares. And usually what happens is that the price will then go down. And, the poor victims are left with like a really high, like a low priced share that, is not it's a loss for them. But the scammers already got their money, so they don't really care about that. In Australia, with superannuation, you actually have super scams. So you have people who will just turn up, usually unsolicited, talking about how they can help you access your super early, or they can help you manage it through opening a self-managed super fund and things like that. A lot of the times they try to use illegal ways of getting your super out early, which is actually illegal. You will get into trouble. So you have to be very careful about that to figure out how you can actually legally access your super. So that's another popular one in Australia as well. There's a lot of other ones out there, but one that is a combination of romance and investment scams, which has absolutely exploded worldwide. It's called the pig butchering scam. I love the name.
I definitely had to Google that one. I hadn't heard of it, actually.
A lot of people have never heard of it. And unfortunately, it is one of the most successful scams going around in terms of when it comes to investing scams and romance scams. It has the biggest losses globally, and it's causing a lot of problems.
Can you explain that one a little bit? If listeners are like me and haven't heard of it before and are like, what have pigs got to do with scams?
So the concept is, think about, you guys have heard of the concept of fattening up a pig before slaughter. So it's a very insidious scam. It sounds as bad as it's exactly as bad as it sounds, because what the scammer does, they're not just going to do, how back in the day you have a scammer who just send a message, there's some Nigerian prince and
the classic emails.
The classic Nigerian prince email, and you can already tell that, okay, that's a scam and it's just one-off and whatever. But with pig butchering, what they do in terms of fattening the pig is they actually develop a relationship with the victim. And this can be over weeks, it can be over months. They can be very patient. So it's usually romantic, although it can be platonic. So they can come through dating sites, so dating apps. They can go through social media, SMS, phone calls, whatever mode. But what they're trying to do is create trust between you and them. And then after they feel like, okay, I've gotten this person hooked, they think we're a couple, they think we're friends, then they will, bring in the topic of investing somewhere. Whether they'll just mention, I'm just so excited. I'm getting so much money from this crypto investment that I'm in, or some other random investment. And then, of course, they'll start having a conversation with the victim and try to reel them in. And unfortunately, because a lot of these victims trust this person now, they tend to then start investing in that same investment. And what's really insidious about it is that for a lot of these scammers, they will actually show them, like they'll have like a portfolio where they can see their money growing. They actually can even give them some of their money. They allow them to withdraw some of it. So they really feel safe. They feel like actually this is legit, and they'll keep on adding more money. And the minute that they feel like actually this is the end point, they don't have any more money, or if the victim starts wanting to withdraw all the money, then they disappear.
They sound very scary, these types of scams, and very clever.
Well, I think what's even scary about the pig butchering scam situation is that a lot of it is actually organized organizations in Southeast Asia that have actually big compounds. So they're not like some random scammer who's by themselves who's doing this. It's actually very organized and actually very big. So they're earning billions of dollars from this. They've got compounds where they have hundreds and thousands of scammers working every day to scam people in this way. And what's even more heartbreaking is that a lot of those scammers are themselves victims because they actually use human trafficking. So a lot of them are poor people from Southeast Asia who think they've got a job, and then they go, maybe they come from Laos and they go to Cambodia thinking they found a legitimate job. They get there and then they're imprisoned in these compounds and forced to do this as well. So that's actually a double issue as well.
Yeah, it's tricky. I spoke to a few staff at banks recently and they said they're getting more and more customers coming in trying to make transfers overseas to someone that they've developed a relationship with online. And often the bank's trying to warn them and say, this is probably a scam. It doesn't sound, you don't know this person, you've never met face to face, this kind of thing. But often the person actually says, I still want to send the money. Like it might be a scam, but I like this person kind of thing. And I feel like this kind of stuff really preys on vulnerable and lonely people as well.
Exactly. They're very good. The thing about scammers, especially these pig butchering scams, is that they're very good at human, or what is it, social engineering. They know the buttons to press. They know what to take advantage of. So they take advantage of human needs, human vulnerabilities. And like you said, when somebody is at a low point, they know how to take advantage of them. There was a story that I heard about, I think it was 2 years ago, a lady in America. She had just gotten over cancer. She was in a very vulnerable spot and she felt lonely. And the pig butcher took advantage of that and gave her the love that she was, or love, I guess in quotes, that she really was yearning for. And she lost a lot of money because she really fell for this and she really just wanted to have a connection with another human being. So that's why these scams are just really insidious, because when it ends up being obvious that it's a scam, it's not just the financial devastation, but it's also the heartbreak that comes with it as well.
Yeah, because it's been a huge part of your life. It's not just sending $10,000 to a person. It's been months of a relationship online as well.
Exactly.
Now that we know what some of these scams are, how do we start to protect ourselves as investors? Because most people listening to this podcast, they've invested some money with a broker. Maybe they're using a micro investing app. They might be using a financial advisor. And they're probably listening to all of this going, okay, you've just mentioned a lot of scary stuff. How do we become informed consumers and protect ourselves from these things?
Yeah, it's it's one of those things that, it is scary sounding. Like when I talk about this, I try to say, okay, I know it's scary, but there are things you can do to protect yourself. Like one of the things that, what is it? I think ScamWatch is probably the organization that focuses on this. They've got a motto, which is stop, think, protect. So stop. So the minute you get any type of unsolicited, contact, or you get some email about some amazing investment and you're getting excited, just stop for a little bit, just stop and take time. Just take a minute, reflect. Okay, could this be a scam? And think, like just use your own thinking capabilities and critical thinking and think, okay, does this seem legitimate? Could it actually be a scam? So I think one of the things that scammers really love is making people quickly make a decision. So I think sometimes just stopping and giving yourself days or even weeks to reflect on something and give you time to talk to other people, people you trust or an advisor to find out, okay, does this seem legit? That's actually a really good step to take. And also another way to protect yourself, to be honest, is I always have this, I know it might seem a bit like full on, but I have a zero policy around unsolicited contact. So if someone is, contacting me out of nowhere and I don't know who they are, it doesn't matter what mode it is, and they're talking about investment or opportunity, I don't listen to them. Just have that zero policy around that. Make investment decisions because you want to. You proactively decided you're going to invest in something. It's part of your investing plan. Then do that, right? Another thing I always say is if you need it, get financial advice from a registered authorized financial advisor if you're not really sure about, what the best way forward is and whether something is legitimate or not, or the best way to invest. And in Australia, there's a way to look at the ASIC Financial Advisors Register that can help you know if somebody is an authorized representative or not. Another thing of protecting yourself as well is if you feel like something sounds too good to be true, so trust your instincts, right? If somebody is coming to you and telling you that there's guaranteed returns and that, it's high returns, but with no risk or with little risk, just know that that's very likely a scam because investment doesn't work that way. Usually, if it's a high return, it's going to have high risk and vice versa. So trust your own instincts about that. Again, if somebody's being pushy, so legitimate investments give you time to do actual research. So do your research. If they're being pushy and not allowing you to actually research, then that's most likely a scam. So stay away from that. There's so many other things you can do as well. Like, for example, with investments in Australia, you can check if they've got an AFSL license, which is something that organizations that are financial services companies in Australia have to have. Don't be shy to ask them questions. So a lot of people are just shy. It's your money. You don't want to just give it to somebody. Ask questions. Who are you? What's your name? What's the company name? What's the address? Do you have an AFSL license? What, number? What is the number so you can actually look it up? So be very proactive about asking them questions. And even if they answer the questions, because there's some amazing scammers out there who've got the script down and they know what to say, don't just take their word for it. Still go and do your checks at ASIC. So ASIC is a regulator where you can actually go and check. For example, they've got an alert list, the ASIC alert list, where you're able to check out if the company or the website is a scam. And you can also check if a financial advisor is actually registered. So things like that are good ways to protect yourself.
They're often relying on the assumption that you won't go and check those things, because I have read about some scams in Australia in the past where they have provided a financial services license number, but it was just a made up sequence of numbers. Yes. And no one actually went and checked to confirm. So it's not the ultimate protection, but if you look if the financial services license exists, you look if the advisor is registered on the list, if you look if there's an investor alert on Money Smart, you look if the bank is an authorized deposit taking institution. There's a lot of different places you can confirm things, and also making sure you're going directly to the website. You often get a link and it looks like it's coming from a bank and a legitimate institution, but then when you click, you're going to a completely fake version of the website.
Exactly, you've nailed it. So that's one other thing that I always say when people call, like, some of these callers, they're calling pretending they're coming from your bank, your super, or some other legitimate organization. The minute they start talking about, oh, we need your details, or they start asking you things that make you uncomfortable, just get off the phone or the email or whatever it is, and then go to the public website. Don't use whatever links or contact details that they've provided with you. Like, just go do your own due diligence, go to their public website, go to their phone number and contact them directly and check if the call or whatever is going on is legitimate or not. Because like you said, it's definitely, people will take advantage of that for sure.
So if I've just invested $10,000 in what I've now come to realize is probably an investment or a crypto scam of some sorts, what can I do to limit the damage or to report them or to get it investigated?
Okay, so urgency really, like kind of immediate action really helps, especially with crypto and investment scams in general. So the minute you find out, please report to your bank, for example, or your credit card provider, or anyone else who's kind of, impacted or who you've used for that, or like a crypto exchange, for example. Immediately report to them. Listen, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to always get your money back, unfortunately, especially when it comes to crypto, because crypto, it's over the border. The minute it's gone, it's very difficult to trace, even for the local police or even for international police. It's a very difficult area. And that's why it's so popular with scammers, because they're easily able to access it and quickly, take it away from you, and you don't have access to it anymore. So, but the important thing is to quickly report it to your financial institutions, quickly report it to the local police. A lot of police, they're really trying to work up to know how to investigate this type of crimes. Some of them have got cybersecurity departments now. So actually go to your local police and report it as well. And please, I know a lot of people don't do this, but report the scam to ScamWatch. They've got to report a scam page. A lot of the statistics that, a lot of you hear out there are a tip of the iceberg. Most people don't actually report the scam because out of shame or a lot of other reasons. And so we don't really know how much people are losing. It's a lot more than what you hear from the statistics. But reporting the scam actually helps, because it can either help different, whether it's the local police or international police, they might even be able to stop these organized crime rings that are doing this, or it's a way of actually helping other people because it raises awareness of that specific scam for the public. So that's also something to do as well. I think a good one would also be to tell your loved ones about the scam, because with scammers, they do a lot of follow-up scams. And this is something a lot of people don't know about. So unfortunately, and this is actually really heartbreaking statistic, a lot of people were scammed once. There's a very high chance of them being scammed again pretty soon afterwards, because what scammers do as well, and sometimes it's the same scammer, which is what's so insidious about it, they'll come back to them as somebody else saying, oh, we heard you lost some money. We can help you get the money back. And, people are desperate. They need the money, and they will then fall for that as well. And they have to pay this person who's going to help them get the money, but that doesn't happen. So I think it's very important for you to also, be on the lookout for follow-up scams, and also tell your loved ones, because sometimes as well, the same scammer will get details of your loved ones and try to get them as well. So it's good for you to actually, make them aware of the scam that's happened to you and help them in that way.
Because that's often the reason we don't talk about when we get scammed, is there is that feeling of shame, or we should have known, or why did we click that link? And so we don't talk about it. We don't tell our family and friends, and then we don't have that opportunity to educate them and stop them falling for maybe the same scam or something else in the future.
Yes. So this is kind of like a bit of a vicious cycle, unfortunately, because I don't know if you've heard this before, but a lot of people do blame scam victims. There's stigma around it.
Yeah.
I mean, people think that they think, okay, how did they fall for that? That's so stupid. And a lot of people think that they would never fall for it.
I've heard that one.
Yeah. They're very judgmental, and they're like, oh my God, how could this person fall for that? That's so obvious. And again, that is actually not true. A lot of people, most people, in fact, any person can be scammed. That's something that since I've been in this industry for a while, any person can be scammed. I know people who work in financial services, people who work in the scam industry who've been scammed. That's just how good some of these scammers can be. And especially now with AI and sophisticated technology, anyone can be scammed. So first of all, don't feel like you're high and mighty because it hasn't happened to you, or you think it won't happen to you. It could. So the first thing is people need to be more compassionate to the victims, because the reason why the victims, they feel shame, of course, personally themselves. They feel stupid, they feel dumb, and I just want them to know that they are not. These scammers are just really good at what they do, and anyone can fall into that. So that's one of the reasons that they don't come forward. They feel stupid themselves. Plus, unfortunately, people around them tell them that they're stupid, so they don't they don't then report it because of that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, definitely, it's something that can happen to anyone, and you should report. And if you feel comfortable, talk to your family and friends, if not to protect them from the scam, just to start opening that conversation Now, the final thing I wanted to talk about, and I promised I'd come back to, is how AI is impacting investment scams. And you did a whole webinar on this topic, so there's a lot to get into, but maybe just a quick Cliff Notes version of what are the changes in this space and what should we be aware of as investors?
Sure. Yeah, so AI, of course, like I kept on saying earlier, scammers are so good on jumping on whatever is going on. So with AI, unfortunately, probably the most popular one is the deepfake audios and the deepfake videos. So what that means is they are able to actually, like, for example, you know how me and Kate are talking right now. Let's say, you know, some scammer will decide to use Kate's voice or my voice, and they can actually replicate it using AI. And then they can, you know, do a video with our face. They've got our faces, they've got our audio. They can actually, you know, pretend to be Kate or myself and have us saying something else altogether, whether it's promoting an investment, you know, scheme, or even the Hey Mom polls, where they're not as popular in Australia yet. They're there, but they've been really big in the US and in Europe, where there's audio of, let's say, your loved one, your child, calling, you know, screaming that they, you know, they need money immediately because they're in trouble. And you think it sounds like them, so you send money to this person. So in the investment scam side of things, they've used audio, they've used video. Last year, Elon Musk, you know, a fake Elon Musk was used in a deepfake video promoting some sort of investment scheme, an AI-focused one, quantum AI. There've been other people, the British PM was used as well for something similar. Celebrities' endorsements are used by fake AI as well. So there's that aspect of it. So they're just using AI to try and, you know, get more people. But they also use AI in terms of saying, oh, we're using AI to guarantee amazing investment returns. So you've got AI-focused trading systems. And they say our system is an AI, you know, focused trading system that will offer you guaranteed high returns with zero risk or something like that. And of course, people, again, similar to crypto, they don't really understand AI. It's a baby. Like, none of us really, we're like in that, we have no idea what it is. And
we just know that we can type something into ChatGPT and something pops out.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know. So it's one of those things where it's just so young, but the scammers are already taking advantage of whatever they're able to access, whether it's deepfake, whether it's just AI trading systems. And they're also using, exactly like you're saying, you know, bots as well, AI bots, where, and this is the scary thing, there's even, you know, a focus where they're going to be, especially from these compounds I told you about in Southeast Asia, where they're looking at using AI bots to make conversation with victims. So imagine a time in the future where there'll be thousands of those bots, you know, talking to millions of victims or potential victims at the same time. Instead of worrying about human beings, they can just use AI instead. So that's what's kind of already started to happen, or what's been going on. But the good news, on the flip side, the scam fighters, us, are also using or looking at using AI to fight back at, you know, the scammers as well. And there's some really great work being done already out there. There's a professor, I'm trying to remember what his name is. I can't remember his name, but I think it's from FYRE University. And he's trialing an app called Apate, I believe it is. And it is pretty much an AI app where they do, the app will, so instead of, for example, the scammers being able to access, like, for example, they make a call, and then they think they're talking to a victim, but they're actually talking to the AI, for the Apate AI. So the Apate AI is pretending to be actual people. So they're taking them away from the victims and, you know, keeping their attention elsewhere, thinking that they're talking to actual people, but they're actually talking to AI bots. So there's things like that happening in the background. And I think there's a lot more projects around that as well. So AI and technology in general, it's something that we're always going to have to be on top of. We're always going to be, you know, trying to be on top of it and trying to overtake what the scammers are doing, because they'll always take advantage of whatever technology is on the market.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an area where you do need to keep learning and being curious and asking questions, because as you said, the technology is evolving. It sounds very futuristic, but it's actually here. And so
It's already here. Exactly.
we need to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, if everyone's listened to this conversation and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on here, what is the number one thing you want listeners to take away with them today?
Okay, so I'm going to reiterate again. Anyone can be scammed. So if you're listening to this and you think that's not me, that's not true, you can be scammed. So anyone can be scammed. So you need to be aware. You need to stay on top of what's going on. You don't have to be an expert at it, but you need to kind of have an idea of things to look out for, like things I mentioned before, unsolicited contact, urgency, how to check for investments, just make sure they're legitimate, things like that. Just be aware of that, the basic information. And also on that same flip side, the fact that anyone can be scammed, I also want to tell the people who have been scammed that it's not your fault. You're the victim. The scammer is the criminal. You're not stupid. This can happen to anybody. So there is support out there. So reach out. You've got financial counselors you can talk to for free if you're struggling financially, or if you're emotionally and mentally struggling, you can, contact Lifeline or Beyond Blue, or talk to your loved ones if you're comfortable doing that. But reach out because there are people out there to help you.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to include all the links to some of the great resources on scams available in the show notes, along with all of those places you can look to make sure the service or the person you're going to use is legitimate. But if people want to follow along with you and your scam fighting endeavors, where should they head to?
So you can follow me on LinkedIn, Wadzi Nenzou. You will see my full name. I usually share my scam fighting adventures on there. Or you can follow me on my website. It's called hereconomics.com, where I also have information there around certain webinars I've done. For example, the AI webinar that Kate mentioned, that's actually on there. You can actually go and listen to the recording if you're interested in that as well. And you can follow me on all the other social platforms, really, whether it's myself, Wadzi Nenzou, or Economics, which is my company.
Amazing. Well, Wadzi, thank you so much for coming on the show today and giving us a crash course on everything we need to know about investment scams and how to protect ourselves and our loved ones today.
It's been a pleasure. I could have just talked. There was so much to talk about. I could have talked all day, but it was my absolute pleasure, Kate. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.